Alright, so before I had the Samsung Meteor, before I was prospecting at getting the Blue Yeti microphone, the Snowball, before all these other cameras came out, the easiest way of most people doing podcasts is just using the natural built-in mic that's on their device. So decided I would go ahead and give that a try today. May have a little bit of a leveling balance issue of some sort, but we're just gonna kind of let it rock and be what it is. What's good, everybody? I hope y'all having a prosperous and positive 2017 so far. This is Brate Podcast doing yet another episode. This is kind of a condensed yet simple yet balanced podcast where I just kind of let y'all know what's been going on, where things are, what I'm trying to work on. The nicest way of saying it is, it's a way of me showing my hand without showing my hand, if that makes sense. I've literally been learning the ins and outs and the tricks of the trade regarding getting episodes uploaded, getting them processed, making sure they're going out to proper social medias. Didn't realize all this time I've been posting my podcast, and the source that I really wanted it to go to the most, it hasn't been reaching that. So to my 84 viewers or followers who I do have on YouTube, thank y'all so much. You will be getting more episodes. I know a lot of people who have already been following the podcast through YouTube or following my YouTube channel in general are probably going to say, where did all these random notifications for new episodes or new uploads came from? I basically went and found all of my episodes that did not get shared and went back and shared them on YouTube. So just wanted to kind of give you all a backstory regarding that. And I also am doing this podcast as somewhat of an apology, but also as a prosperous uplifting of what's coming. I did do the podcast from MagFest, or I attempted to do the podcast from MagFest. It didn't go the best. It didn't have the best, somewhat je ne sais quoi, if you want to use that term. But long story short, it turned out that the cord, I guess I adjusted something on the microphone where it just knocked it out of place, and it caused it to not play nicely when I needed it to. So in hindsight, it affected the microphone working like it needs to. I may kind of fickle around with it a little bit later on today to see if it's something that I can possibly fix, but I'm not going to sit and fake technician it like I know what I'm doing. So I will test that, see what I come up with. If I get any good news, then we may still have a microphone, but if worse from the worst, I'm looking forward to getting the Yeti. So I'm doing this episode because there was a question that I did ask everyone, or that I was attempting to ask everyone who I was hanging with at a little get together we had, and I was promising that I would give. I had a couple of people give their answers, so you may have heard those on the last episode at MagFest. So to be fair, this is one of those, okay, I don't have a topic, but realistically I do. So I'm going to give my answer to the question, and I'll read it to everyone so you all understand what the question was. And it was a couple of answers given, and then I'll give my answer regarding it. So the question was, you were kidnapped. Your favorite game character comes for your rescue. Who is it? Now, we had a few people who gave Link, we had Pikachu, had a Mega Man. We had quite a few characters or quite a few names put out there regarding who would save them in the midst of that situation. Mine's is a little odd, and I guess it's because I've watched and tracked gaming on different levels and different scenarios. My answer, or my best way of assessing it, would probably be, believe it or not, I was a huge Sonic head, and I think just because of how fast he was, that's kind of the save or make for me. Sorry if I'm having any Power J collected coins, but it's kind of like, I almost look at it as a tag team, because it would be Knuckles as well. And I was a big Knuckles guy because Knuckles literally had the cheat code of being able to climb and do more in that game than both Tails and Sonic did. Sonic was fast, but Knuckles could pretty much climb and grab and crawl his way to wherever he was trying to go. So I'm going to give that scenario and give that answer, because I didn't want y'all to think, okay, you asked everybody else at MagFest about it, and you never gave your answer. So I don't want to leave that topic or that story neglected. So that's where I stood on that conversation. Now for a brief review, because usually I do this, and I didn't have a chance to, I guess you could say I didn't do it last year, but I'm doing it this year. And I'm also going to kind of talk a little bit about the experience this year, because it was we had a few new faces that kind of got to encounter MagFest. Some of them, a couple of folks who hung out with us in the nicest way, broke their MagFest virginity. And I know when I broke mine last year, I was excited. So it was kind of like almost turnabout being fair play. But that being said, I will be the first to admit that MagFest this year was a lot more enjoyable, solely because it was everyone who was there kind of came in with the right purpose. The purpose mainly being to enjoy gaming as a whole and enjoy a good time with good friends. Yeah, we had our drinking. Yeah, we had our socializing. And yes, I'm putting that in the podcast. And yes, it's an explicit content podcast. But I'm just telling you all, we had a fucking amazing time in a way that I would have never expected. But the important part was it was safe. I was around good company, and we all kind of made sure we had each other's back. A few mishaps, trick-em-ups came along the way, but it didn't stop us. We had the most inappropriate gospel moments as well. There were a lot of things that stood out for me with MagFest this year. So I just wanted to at least talk about that and just state that everybody who went with me, like, we all had a good time, because we had two new faces that went with us as far as rooming wise, and then it was an interesting situation because I told one of my friends that she, like, you don't give, and I guess, and I'll say this to kind of be random, but to kind of make a clear point, you don't give me an option or a suggestion in saying, hey, I want you to send me videos as if I'm at MagFest. I was like, okay. So I pretty much sent every single Snapchat that I could of what was going on at MagFest to give the full interactive feel of the event. And I know I can't speak for anybody else. MagFest has probably had its fair share of data usage, but for whatever reason, for this particular event, there was quite a bit of data usage at the venue because everybody was getting notifications left and right, back and forth, up and down around the block, trying to get messages to go through between being at concerts or just the whole venue as a whole, trying to just access the internet, whether it be Wi-Fi or just personal data. So Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, I don't know if I missed any of the other big names, but all of y'all got y'all services rendered to the fullest of the extent. Metro PCS, yeah, y'all ain't getting left out either. So I just wanted to at least say that. Like I said, this isn't going to really be a long podcast. This is just me kind of resurrecting or clearing the air. One other thing, I guess it's like, okay, yeah, I had one topic and it was like I wrote a few things and talked about a few things, but if you see a Cowboys fan getting a little quiet for a while, don't take it personal. That was a tough blow or a tough loss to have happen, especially with tying the game up the way it went and then end up losing the game in that form of fashion. There was a question about there being a holding play at the end. A lot of the fans who saw the game really didn't even acknowledge that part. It was just a mere fact of losing in that field goal that they did. So I just wanted to at least, mention and talk about those things and address those various pieces of topics that have occurred. So we're at what we call the NFL Final Four, aka conference championships, featuring Green Bay and Atlanta, Pittsburgh and New England. I'm gonna go ahead and give picks for those now, and I couldn't even tell you what my picks were as far, because I stopped doing my weekly picks because it was just a lot, and I had a change in schedule, change in life, so things just kind of went the way they did. And there's no excuse, it's just the honest truth. But I would honestly have to say I'm picking Pittsburgh, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm never, under any circumstances, going to pick New England. And if New England wins, that's cool, but I'm going to pick against them every time. Even if they were to win, I'm going to pick whoever they play in the Super Bowl as the winner. So I'm picking Pittsburgh for the AFC game. For the NFC game, I don't want to, only because it's a division foe, but I'm going for Atlanta in that game. It's gonna be a gun show, a sling fest. So just be prepared for that. But I just wanted to give that added piece of information regarding the NFL community. I'm gonna definitely be pushing to get more topics, because now that we're kind of in the closing bit of NFL, got NBA. Most people know I'm an NBA head, so I'm gonna have a lot of NBA topics to go into. I have my college basketball to talk about. Kentucky been doing some work. They just actually played today and beat Mississippi State. So I'm gonna try to implement those stories in. Might surprise y'all with some soccer. And gaming wise, don't think I'm forgetting. I still have my the new system coming out, the Nintendo Switch. I had somebody actually ask me about either doing a review or giving my thoughts about that. So I do want to do that in an upcoming podcast. So I will be sure to do so. Otherwise, those are the main things that I have on my mental agenda to discuss. If you are following Brate Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter, I do try to post as much as I can, and I try to make sure I give you pretty good up-to-date content and not leave any thoughts behind. So I'm going to close it out there. I feel like I'm making like a long-winded ending, but anybody who knows me knows I can kind of go for a while, because it's like I was going to end the podcast minutes ago, and then we see where we are now. So with that being said, y'all be good, stay blessed, be positive, do something good for someone. Don't act like everything around you. Don't make everyone else around you a priority and leave yourself last, because when you leave yourself last, you most times leave yourself with nothing. Just something to think about. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.